Let's begin this at the end of the Clone War. Ahsoka and Rex crash land their ship on the planet Meriden after Maul successfully escaped Order 66. They spend some time burying their comrades, but Ahsoka knows what she has to do. Something has happened to her master, Anakin, and she must find out what. They board their ship and enter hyperspace. Ahsoka still has a connection to the location of Anakin's ship and sees his tracking pinpoint as Mustafar. They change course and head there immediately. She lands her ship down next to Padme's and exits alone, and what she sees shocks her. Obi-Wan and Anakin standing off from one another with Padme lying on the ground unconscious. They both turn to see Ahsoka.
What's going on here?
It's Obi-Wan. It's all his fault. Look at what he's done. He turned her against me. Don't believe him, Ahsoka. The dark side has corrupted his mind. He's wrong, Ahsoka. I've finally learned the truth. The Jedi betrayed the Republic.
Is this true, Obi-Wan?
The Chancellor is evil, Ahsoka. He's behind all of this. Lie after lie. I saw the Jedi attempt to assassinate the Chancellor himself. Think about it, Ahsoka. The Jedi turned their back on you, and now they've done the same to me. It's always been you and me against the galaxy, Snips. I will not betray the Republic. Please join me, Ahsoka. Ahsoka, stand by me. Only together can we defeat him.
Ahsoka doesn't know what to do. Have the Jedi betrayed the Republic just as they betrayed her? Anakin wouldn't lie to her. She knows her master cares about her deeply.
I'm sorry, Obi-Wan, but I must obey my master.
Ahsoka, not you too. I will do what I must.
Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber and the fierce duel begins. Kenobi, the master of defense, knew how to defend against multiple attackers and blades, having defended himself against Savage and Maul at the same time. This was very similar, but the power of the Chosen One took the duel to a whole other level. Anakin's rage propelled him in this duel, and he, alongside his apprentice, marched forward, pushing Kenobi back. The fight intensifies. Obi-Wan parried, blocked, and counterattacked with precision, his blue blade a blur. However, his opponents worked in unison. Anakin's raw power, complemented by Ahsoka's agile fighting style. He could barely defend himself against their combined onslaught, let alone find a moment to strike back. In the storm of blinding light and splashes of lava, Obi-Wan found himself backed onto a narrow ledge. Anakin seized the opportunity, his blue blade bearing down with a monstrous strength. At the same moment, Ahsoka launched herself towards Obi-Wan, her blue blade slashing in a blinding arc. Obi-Wan parried Anakin's blow, but the impact sent a shockwave down his arm. However, he was too late to fully deflect Ahsoka's strike. A hot searing pain sliced through his side. He staggered back, off balance.
Forgive me, Master.
With a final determination, Obi-Wan turned to face Anakin, but his former apprentice was already advancing. Anakin's eyes flared with ruthless intent, and with a swift, brutal stroke, sent his sapphire blade into Obi-Wan's chest. He gasped, his lightsaber slipping from his grasp. He collapsed onto his knees, his gaze meeting Anakin's.
Anakin,
he whispered, his voice fading as life slipped away. The duel was over. On the fiery world of Mustafar, Obi-Wan Kenobi had fallen, defeated by the very ones he fought to save. They head back to Padme's ship to find her unconscious but still alive. Anakin senses a ship approaching with his master, Sidious, and tells Ahsoka they must make the most of this opportunity. Anakin had planned to take over Sidious eventually, but now he has the perfect opportunity with his apprentice by his side. His power has soared to greater heights than he thought ever possible, and believes he has the strength to save his wife. Sidious lands and exits his ship, accompanied by a legion of clones. Anakin and Ahsoka approach, and Ahsoka stops behind Anakin and takes a knee.
Congratulations on your victory, Anakin. I sense you have found a new resolve.
I indeed have.
No!
Anakin thrusts his blade into Sidious, and the clones on either side get ready to fire. Anakin tells them to stop, that he was his apprentice, and now with his death, they must obey him. The clones get on one knee and pledge their loyalty to Anakin. They take Padme's body and head back to Coruscant to the most prestigious hospital. Anakin stays by her side as medical droids do their job. She enters labor, and Anakin's fear rises to new heights. but he's confident he and Ahsoka can save her. However, they weren't needed, and she successfully gives birth to the twins, Luke and Leia. Anakin is pleased, and he leaves her care with the medical droids. He takes Ahsoka with him to the Senate chambers, who were expecting Palpatine, but in his place, Anakin and Ahsoka appear. Anakin speaks to the whole Senate and the entire galaxy to whom this is being broadcast.
Sidious was an evil tyrant. Ahsoka and I have saved you all from his reign. In return, Ahsoka and I will continue the Empire together and lead the galaxy to a peaceful and prosperous future. The Senate is dysfunctional and will exist only to carry out its orders to the respected systems. Any system that does not comply will face the full power of the dark side and clone army.
His message hits home, and the silence in the chamber speaks 1,000 words. He looks to Mas Amida, asking him whether he will be loyal with his eyes, who bows, and Anakin knows he will follow him, as Amida serves power and power alone. During their duel with Obi-Wan, Ahsoka gave into the emotions she suppressed her entire Jedi life. Hate, anger, passion. She's begun her journey down the dark path, and Anakin can sense this. But to ensure she continues, Anakin tests her resolve. After the Senate meeting concludes, they go to Bail Organa's office to find himself, Mon Mothma, and other lead senators of the delegation of 2000 discussing Anakin's takeover as Emperor. Anakin knows what's going on here. The seeds of rebellion are brewing, and must be stomped out. Bail moves forth to talk to Anakin, but he stops him in place with the Force and turns to Ahsoka.
This is your first test, Ahsoka. You've known many people in this room. They're good people, kind, and want the best for the galaxy. But they go against our plans and will only stand in our way. Show me your resolve and commitment to the dark side.
The dark side has already corrupted Ahsoka, and she carried out the task her master set for her, killing Bail Organa and the other senators, prohibiting any early resistance to their empire. Anakin heads back to the hospital to check up on Padme, but instead, he finds her fleeing with the twins. He uses the Force to stop her.
Padme, what are you doing?
Running away from you! I saw the broadcast. You seek to rule the galaxy, how could you?
I'm doing this for us, for our family.
No, you're doing it for yourself. You're not Anakin. The man I love is gone. I don't recognize what's left. You're a monster. I'm taking the children. Please, if you have any love for me left, don't follow me.
Anakin briefly releases his control on her, and she takes a few steps, but then is frozen in place. Anakin's rage takes the better of him.
You think you could take my children away from me?
He raises Padme's body into the air and squeezes her windpipe with the Force. He looks away as she gasps for air. He didn't want to do this, but no one would take his children from him, not even Padme.
I'm sorry, Padme.
As silence encompasses the room, her last breath echoes throughout as Anakin does the unthinkable, interrupted by the tears of baby Luke and Leia. A few years pass, and Anakin and Ahsoka have enforced their rule over the galaxy. Systems quickly align themselves after the threat of clone occupation was made apparent. Sidious had already begun the Inquisitor program in secret, but Anakin perfected it, and Jedi around the galaxy were being hunted down and defeated. Because the Jedi didn't get their hands on Luke and Leia, Yoda never went into hiding, but actively attempted to rebuild the Jedi Order, and tens of Jedi came together. Yoda had no future hope in the twins, and he had to stop Anakin himself. Therefore, the resistance to Anakin's empire began early after he took control, and the galaxy was thrust into another war. The war would last several long and grueling years. Jedi clashed with Inquisitors, clones battled resistance fighters, whilst Anakin and Ahsoka continued to spread their influence to all corners of the galaxy. Anakin's power was increasing exponentially during this period. With full access to the Jedi archives, he mastered many ancient Sith techniques that proved useful in battle. The rebellion had more support than Anakin anticipated, and underestimated Yoda's connections around the galaxy. He was over 800 years old, and had friends all over the galaxy, and cashed in every favor he had. Anakin was disappointed by this. He expected more from the galaxy, but knew, to ensure his unanimous rule, he'd brutally stomp out the Jedi resistance to prove his power. No one will challenge him after this. The war would not last forever, and the final showdown was inevitable. Anakin spent hours meditating, focusing on the Jedi, and alongside the data he's collected from the war, he uses the Force to discover the location of the Jedi's base, and the last stand of the Jedi Order versus the might of Anakin's Empire collided on the desolate world of Dagobah. Yoda, leading the Jedi, engage Anakin, Ahsoka, and their ground forces, who attacked with all their might. Their forces clash in a storm of light and dark. The Inquisitors fight behind Anakin, and the remnant of the Jedi stood behind their Grand Master. Yoda, who thought he'd mastered his emotions as a Jedi, felt pure fear when he saw Anakin in battle, moving fluently, casting lightning like it was nothing, moving as a blur, his blade shadowing behind him, slicing effortlessly through his enemies, one by one. With the flick of his hand, a Jedi would collapse in white-hot pain, Anakin having caused several brain bleeds with the subtle movement of his wrist. He cast a Force Drain over the battlefield, a dark side technique, inhibiting the power of the Jedi, and even Master Yoda. One by one, they were cut down until he reached Yoda. Yoda never thought this power would be possible. He truly was the chosen one, but not of the Jedi, but of the Sith. He was the Sithari, and Grandmaster Yoda shared the same fate as his comrades. With the death of the Jedi Order, and the crushing of their rebellion, their rule was absolute. Together, Anakin and Ahsoka spread their rule to every corner of the galaxy. They were the strongest Force users in the galaxy. Anakin took more of a political role in his empire, commanding and ruling over the galaxy, and had his underlings control other sections of command. He and Ahsoka rule side by side, and in this, it was them against the galaxy as it always has been. This went on for years, until their empire was fully established, with no hopes of rebellion. As Ahsoka grew up and matured, in Anakin's eyes, she was no longer a weak, dependable girl, but a strong woman who cared about him immensely. Their companionship grew from master and apprentice to lovers, and the two fell in love. Together they realized the Force had chosen them, and Ahsoka was the only one Anakin truly cared about, and shared the same beliefs as him. It was only natural they fell for each other. They started a family of their own, and alongside Luke and Leia, they birthed many children, all strong in the Force. Together, they decide to end the ways of the Jedi and Sith, to make them stories of history and folklore. They choose to harness the best aspects of both orders, and together, they begin the Celestial Dynasty, a Force order, where neither the light side nor dark is favored, but strength alone. The order will be under the command of Anakin, with no restriction to what a student can learn, as no matter how powerful they become, they will never rival the Emperor Anakin. Through this dynasty, they will ensure their control over the galaxy, and make sure no threat from within could undermine them, and also be ready for whatever enemy challenges them next. If you enjoyed this video, you have to watch what if Ahsoka was at the Jedi Temple during Order 66, and what if Ahsoka died during Order 66. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if there's a potential for a part 2. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member for only $1 to get exclusive looks at thumbnails and other channel content before anyone else, and may the Force be with you.